Hello and welcome into the Lone Star Varsity Preview Show. I'm Mike Graham.
And I'm Bryan, and we're with the Lone Star Varsity High School sports staff.
It's week 12. It's the bi-district round. It's my favorite time of year. But before we get going, I just want to say that this show is brought to you by the University Medical Center and powered by AJ Media. Pretty good. All right, we've got four key games here that we're just going to discuss at some length, and then we're going to pick them at the end. And I think these games are, obviously there's some of our bigger schools, but not only that, I think there's some very intriguing matches. And we'll start with Dumas at Lubbock Cooper, and we're just going to start working our way down after that, and then I guess we'll climb the ladder back up and finish with Dumas at Lubbock Cooper, which I think is an extremely intriguing game. Here we are. Here's the postseason, and here's the Lubbock Cooper team squeaked in at 6-4, needed to win its final game of the regular season to make it in, dealing with some injuries, going up against a Dumas team that went 7-0 in District 3-5A, it's an interesting game. It really is. It's a rematch of a game that Cooper won 26-20 2 years ago. Of course, they had Jarrett Daggy at quarterback. They played that one at Dumas. They flipped a coin, and the condition on that was if Cooper went up there in 2015 and they played in the next couple of years, Dumas would come down to Pirate Stadium at First United Park and play a game there. So that's where we are. But I just feel like Cooper's playing its best football right now. The wins haven't exactly been there, but seeing them against Monterey, seeing how they took care of San Angelo Lakeview, just recently I'm starting to feel pretty good about their quarterback play, the receiver play, and the defensive play, despite enduring a couple of key injuries.
Yeah, and when we talk about the injuries, it's not quite over for them yet. They're still missing quite a few players, some key players, and it doesn't look like that's going to get any better by the time they hit the bi-district round. But, this is still a team that came a long way, I think, throughout the regular season. When you talk about Brendan Mell, his kind of maturity at the quarterback position, and just some of the things that they were been able to do, plug in here and there. Like you said, defensively, I still think that this is a very impressive team. Dumas, coming in, holds the better record, but I think overall Cooper has the stronger outfit as far as defenses go.
I think so, and you've got Zykeith Campbell. He's coming along at receiver. His first game back from injury, he caught for more than 100 yards. Only 1/10 of the game's production, though, against Monterey. Those two teams combined for 1,003 yards, but Mel has been impressing me. I think Cole Carter is awesome at
Definitely.
receiver. They had a quarterback battle that Mel ultimately won and moved Carter back to receiver, and he can really play any position as far as skill positions. He can play quarterback if he has to. He can play some running back sort of, and any of the four receiver positions. So really excited to not only to see what he does in the postseason, but what he brings to the table next year as some of these guys fall off. Really excited about this game. Any opening thoughts on it other than what we've just talked about, them coming along, strong defense, anything about this game stand out and make you think that Cooper has a chance in it? Of course, 9-1 going up against 6-4.
I think, the first thing that comes to mind when I looked at this game, and me and you both kind of questioned how it happened, them getting the home field advantage, but we figured that one out.
Right.
That's huge, I think, not having to travel. You get to stay home and, rest up right before the game, and I think their offense has come along, and I think on both ends of the ball, they're playing, like you said, some of their best ball right now. So I think Lubbock Cooper has a very good chance against Dumas coming into this one. Not to take anything away from Dumas
Absolutely
and what they've accomplished, but I just think at the end of the day, Cooper has come a long way, and they're a really impressive team whenever they're at full capacity or running on full capacity.
Right. Dumas 7-0 from District 3-5A, won the district championship, a true game last week against Amarillo High. And Nick Quintanilla, their quarterback, very impressed with him. And really, it's a team that tries to jump on you early. It's like 3-5A's answer to Monterey, a team that will just explode on you with talented receivers and a great dual threat quarterback. Reminds me a lot of Monterey.
Maybe even Estacado, where they try to get out in front, which, Estacado beat Dumas earlier in the year. But, yeah, they will try to get on you early. I think the key to winning is just making sure they don't do that. You don't want to be fighting from behind, not in any situation, but especially against a team that can be very explosive.
Absolutely. Speaking of Estacado, this is one of your games down in your old stomping grounds at Pecos High School. Estacado 9-1. It's a rematch game against Clinton Mountain View, which is 4-6. It was a 42-0 game last time these two teams met at Lowry Field on October 12th, but they're going to a neutral site this time, less of a hassle for Mountain View, which came in. And, if you don't know where Clint is, it's basically a suburb of El Paso. Some people know this school as El Paso Mountain View. So it's not going to be as strenuous this time. In fact, it might even be closer to El Paso than Lubbock by a couple of miles.
It might be. From Lubbock, you're talking a 3-hour drive. So, yeah, it might be a little bit closer. When you look at that first game, and speaking with Shavers, about this game in general, he said, they're not going to underestimate Clint Mountain View. They're hungry. They're going to want to come out and they're going to give them their best game. And I think that's true. But then again, Estacado has just been impressive all year. That 42-0 win over Mountain View in their first meeting, I think, is very telling. And, what a lot of people might think hinders you in having a bye week right before the bye district, I think Estacado used to its advantage and healing up and getting some rest. Because if you look at it, they've been going for almost 10 weeks straight, including fall camp and everything. So they got to rest up a little bit. And Shavers was talking about, taking a step back and working on themselves.
Right.
And I think that's going to make them a dangerous team here in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about the bye week. I don't think you never had a bye week that late in the season.
No.
I never did. And I know that we came out a little rusty after our bye weeks, because it was like a week of fun. And then you get back into the grind, but it takes a while to get in. So I'm not sure. I do like that they won this game 42-0, but they played a really bad first half against Mountain View the last time they played. Only were up 14-0, and Shavers was not a happy camper at the end of that game based on their collective body work. Yes, they hung 28 points on Mountain View in the third quarter, and they went to a running clock in the fourth quarter. But he didn't like the start. Expect the message to be, we have to bury these guys fast. And we have to get back to Lubbock after that because it's a school night.
Yeah, well, Estacado has been known to do that, though. They've come out strong against a lot of teams. And I think, at that period of time, we're not looking at the same Estacado team that we're looking at now in terms of offense and everything. I think Estacado has come a long way, just like Lubbock Cooper, and right now is playing some of its best ball. The bye week, they're being positive about it, in talking with Coach Shavers. They're being positive in that. Maybe for some teams it might hinder them. I don't see it being that big of a factor this week, but we'll see whenever they meet up over at Eagle Stadium.
Yeah. Estacado once again 9-1 on a 9-game winning streak, has not lost to a 4A opponent all year. All right, this one is interesting, and it's another rematch game. It's Coronado going up to Canyon Randall. It's 10-0 versus 6-4, 8 p.m. Friday at Canyon's Kimbrough Stadium. And it follows a 4 p.m. game on Friday, which is New Deal and Sanford Fritch. I think New Deal's going to win that one. Since we're not talking about it, we'll just throw that one out there. Really like this game. It's a rematch of when Randall visited Lowry Field on September 22nd. They lost 27-7. And really, that was the last time we felt unsure about Coronado because they've scored 48 or more points in their past games. And I remember earlier in this season, we talked a lot about Coronado's defense, how great they were doing, but the offense just wasn't getting it in gear. Well, they've gotten it in gear since then and did it against some good teams. Andrews was decent. That was kind of the turnaround game. Then they hopped into district, and Monterey, Abilene Cooper, and those teams really challenged them, and they did fine. They did fine with exception to maybe Abilene Cooper, which they got held to 34 points, but did enough to win that game. And I think that you could say that those two teams established themselves over the course of the regular season as at least two of the top 3 West Texas 5A teams. Maybe Monterey's in that argument too.
Yeah, and you said it. Early on, Coronado's offense, it was getting by, and the defense was really helping it out. But now they're firing on both ends of that cylinder there with the offense and the defense going kind of at full speed and at full capacity. And I think that Coronado is one dangerous team right now, no matter how you look at it, whoever they go up against. I think Randall is going to have a tough time containing that offense as it's come along.
Yeah, I think so. Randall usually likes to keep it close, and they have a defense that does that very well. I mean, they're averaging 21.1 points per game and holding opponents to 17. So they like those close games. So I think the message that I'd be delivering if I was Seth Parr is like, let's knock them out of this game fast, because the longer they hang around, the odds get higher that they're going to win, because they're going to be in a situation that they're very comfortable with late in the game if Coronado can't pull away. And of course, Coronado had its problems last year against Caprock in the first round.
Keep in mind, though, whenever it came push to shove in a close game with Coronado, last week we saw them come away with it. They were able to get a field goal to win it, and I think that's very impressive, especially heading into this game. If you're going up against a team that likes to keep it close and you've been in that situation before and were able to come away with the win, I think that's just more telling for them.
Yeah, you're right, and that was certainly an emotional game. First time Coronado's finished a season 10-0. They won the district championship. They beat a team that a lot of people were advertising as just equal to them, if not maybe having an edge in certain places. But my favorite thing about that game is that by the time they kick this one off, they're going to be 8 days removed from that. That's enough time to get over a win like that, I think.
Oh, yeah. You might be over it on Saturday whenever you come away with the win like that, because now you're sitting at 10-0. You got a target on your back, and you got to get back to work. It's a quick turnaround. You got to make sure that you can answer the call whenever it comes.
What are some of the things that stand out to you about Coronado heading into the postseason that maybe make them different than even last year's team?
I don't know how different they are from last year's team. I think last year's team was impressive as well. I guess one of the biggest things that stands out right now for them is, losing their starting running back and being able to replace him. I think that shows that they have some depth. And then another thing that stands out is kind of the rise of Blair Conwright and what he brings to the field. Seth Parr is always bragging about him, saying he's a really intelligent, energetic kid. And I think that whole team in general has found its playmakers from what it graduated last year, and is very, very, they're hard to beat.
Any concern whatsoever about Coronado having to go to Randall's home stadium, Kimbrough Stadium in Canyon?
No, they've played there before. When we talk about home field advantage, when we said with Cooper, it's a good thing, and Randall doesn't have to travel as far, but Coronado has had to do its fair share of traveling, and has come away with some impressive wins. Whenever they beat Abilene Cooper last week, that was on the road, so I don't think road games will affect them much, but we'll see how this one turns out.
And then the final game, Monterey 6-4 at Amarillo High 6-4. 6-1 in their district, though. Lost to Dumas last week to lose the district championship. Didn't really matter, though, because Amarillo got the first seed from 3-5A for the Class 5A Division I playoffs. Monterey, the number 2 seed from 4-5A, obviously behind Coronado. This game will take place 7 p.m. Friday at Amarillo's Dick Bivens Stadium. So another true road game for a Lubbock ISD team.
Yeah, I think in this game, when you kind of look at it, it depends on what Monterey team shows up. Because like you said, we could argue that they're one of the top 3 best teams in 5A in West Texas. And they've come a long way from some losses that, could have gone the other way. And, I think it's going to depend on, what kind of team shows up that day.
Another tight kind of game, the way the Sandys play, and this is a rematch of a 21-16 game that Monterey was able to win last season in the bi-district round. Sandys, they only give up 20.3 points per game on defense, and you've seen Monterey, when they're really at their best, hang 21 points on a team in the first quarter. I think that's the goal in this game. If Monterey gets off to a good start, they are tough to beat, but when they don't, they don't seem to ever put it together completely on offense for that given game.
Yeah, and last week I think we saw another element kind of come alive for them, and that was special teams. And looking at some video on Twitter and seeing what people were sharing, they were able to do some big things there. So if you put all 3 phases together, of course you're going to win a game. And like you said, if the offense can get going early, then I can see the Plainsmen taking this one from Amarillo.
Yeah. I guess we talked about road games. This one just a little bit further up the road. I don't know. I kind of worry about that. Like we get the supporters. You've got to leave school early. Just things like that. There are so many logistical things when you have to go play a road game, and in the playoffs, obviously things get amplified a little bit. Any concern about this one being on the road?
No, kind of looking back, I always loved road games. I was a little bit more energetic about them. I don't know what it was about it, but Monterey's fans, I imagine more than anything, are going to be there. They have a good showing, and Monterey loves their plainsmen, and I think they're going to be there for it. And I think in that aspect, they'll be just fine. I think when it comes down to it, you just got to keep your mental focus, and don't worry about the fact that one and done. Just get the job done.
Amarillo's defense prior to last week against Dumas, where it gave up 36 points, its season worst was 28 points. That's pretty impressive, especially for a high school football team, but that's impressive on any level.
Yeah.
Just one more thing about this game is just their non-district schedules. Sorry, looking at my notes a little bit here. Amarillo had a non-district of Lubbock Cooper, Odessa High, and Tascosa. Monterey had Odessa High on top of a couple of others. Both lost, and both in tough fashion, one-possession football games. So pretty even, not only record-wise, but like their body of work through the non-district portion of the season too. So that should be an exciting game. And with all that said, I think we're ready to pick these games. And we'll just start right where we left off, Monterey at Amarillo High. And I want to hear your opinion on this one first.
Okay, I'm going to go with Monterey on this one, and it's not because they're our coverage team, but I think in this last game they were able to do a lot of big things on all three phases of the game, and I think that's going to carry over, and we're going to see the Monterey team that needs to show up that night, and I see the Plainsmen getting past the by-district round.
Yeah, I think you're right. I've got Monterey in this game too. Just seeing them the past 2 weeks, they've been one of my teams to cover the past 2 weeks. That they get off to quick starts, feel like they're as put together on offense now as they can be, and they had some issues early on. Bryan Lawson-Young, the quarterback, he's had a great senior season across the board, but it took a while for the receivers, I think, to adjust to him. I think they've done that. They've gotten off to fast starts the past 2 weeks. So why not 3? And you've got an Amarillo team that relies on its defense, not so much offensive. Monterey's got a pretty good defense, so I think it's a good matchup for them. Other than the fact it's in Amarillo.
Yeah, I don't see the traveling being that big of a factor. Like I said, I used to love to travel though, so
we'll see. Coronado at Randall, 8 p.m. Friday, Kimbrough Stadium in Canyon.
You got to go with the hot hand here. I'm going to go with the Mustangs. I think Coronado ends up getting this win and actually advancing pretty far.
Yeah, I agree. Coronado. I think we've covered Coronado, all the reasons. Okay.
Maybe it's a superstition at the LSD luncheon where the backdrop is in the right position.
Yeah, Coach Parr, basically there are these two backdrops, and one is Coronado and Lubbock High, and the other one's Estacado and Monterey. And when Coach Parr sees that it hasn't been lined up correctly the way he's done his prior interviews, he moves it over there, and then we interview him in the correct position with his backdrop in the right location. So, maybe that's the key to their success. It might be. He keeps on doing it.
Football superstitions,
Estacado, Mountain View, rematch of a 42-0 game. I'm going to go Estacado.
Oh, yeah. I think I'm going to go Estacado, too. I don't think the bye week is going to hurt them that much. In fact, I think Shavers talked me into, or he convinced me that it was actually beneficial more than it was hindering.
Dumas at Lubbock Cooper, 9-1 versus 6-4. Any surprises in this one?
I don't know if it's going to be a surprise because I'm already expecting Lubbock Cooper to win. I think they had to go through a tough district slate. Not that Dumas didn't, but I think Cooper is a tough team to beat, and they're going to be able to kind of pace Dumas. So I'm going to go Lubbock Cooper.
Yeah, I guess call us homers. What I really like about this game, I think that Lubbock Cooper's defensive backs match up pretty well size-wise with Dumas's receivers. The real wild card is Nick Quintanilla, who is one of my favorite quarterbacks that I've seen all season. He has a good arm. He can run when he needs to. Actually, he's a skilled runner. I mean, he might be as skilled as anyone we've seen this year, I think. And that's really the lone wild card. But as long as Cooper matches up with the receivers, you kind of cripple down what they can do on offense. Feel like Cooper's been getting it on lately with their offense. So tough call, but yeah, I'm going to go Lubbock Cooper. And with that, we are done. So really looking forward to getting out to these games. Bryan's got a game in Pecos tomorrow. I've got Seminole and Dalhart tomorrow night at Eastern New Mexico University. Really excited to cross the state line for a Texas high school playoff game. I got a couple of questions about this. Yes, they will be using South Plains chapter referees and playing Texas high school football rules across the border. So it's a completely Texas game, just in a foreign state. Friday, you've got another game in Pecos. Which teams are that? That's Levelland and
Levelland
Clint.
versus Clint.
That's right.
Yes.
Clint and Clint Mountain View are both going to the same destination in Pecos. And I've got Seagrave, Sudan, which I'm really excited about. We'll obviously have coverage of Coronado and Monterey, too, from our friends at the Amarillo Globe News. And a lot of gamers and a lot of good things on LoneStarVarsity.com to come this week. So we really appreciate you guys stopping by to spend some time with us on your Wednesday night, and we will see you very soon. This show was brought to you by the University Medical Center and powered by AJ Media.